Good morning and welcome to the Forex Daily Update, brought to you by Pepperstone on Wednesday the 21st of November 2018. I'm Darren Sinden and you can follow me throughout the day on Twitter by using @ds_Pepperstone. Okay, let's kick off with a look at the overnight changes and price moves to be aware of. A relatively quiet session as far as the global foreign exchanges were considered yesterday. But we have got a couple of points to talk about even so. First of all, further gains or new gains, I should say, perhaps for the Australian and the New Zealand dollars against the US counterpart. The Australian dollar adding 0.25% and the Kiwi 0.33%. Both of these lower, however, than where we started the week. Nonetheless, it's encouraging to see them pushing back. Dollar index for its part trading at 96.77, down by around 0.07% from the top of the session. Nonetheless, a decent bounce from dollar index, moving away from the 96.22 area that we started the week. Also a bit of movement in dollar ruble, down by around 0.39%, probably based around the oil price, I suggest, and we'll look at the oil price in a bit more detail momentarily. Bitcoin and Ether had a slightly easier day of it yesterday, although there were still marginal losses for each of those cryptocurrencies. Okay, what's on the calendar? Events that may move the markets today. A pretty busy calendar. Just to make you aware, we're probably likely to hear from the European Commission today about their decision on the Italian budget and any sanctions that they might issue against the Italian state. We've also had earlier this morning all industry activity index data out of Japan for the month of September. A disappointing reading, down by 0.9%, below forecast of 0.8% and well below the prior gain of 0.5%. To come at 9:30, we'll have public sector net borrowing requirement out of the UK for the month of October. A look at the state of UK government finances, which have been improving over the course of 2018 to date. Then we jump forward to 12 o'clock for NBA mortgage applications data out of the States for the week of November the 16th. And then we'll have at 13:30 continuing and initial jobless claims. And that'll be followed by perhaps the pick of the US data today, durable goods orders, both with and ex-transportation for the month of October. A chance to look at how business is investing into itself in the US. And then at 1500, US existing home sales and home sales change for October. We've had some pretty poor data out of the US housing market of late, so will the US home sector catch a break today? And then also at 1500, the very influential Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index data for November will be released. At 1530, we'll have natural gas storage changes and EIA crude oil stocks change for the week of November 16th. The market will probably be focused very closely on this, given the moves we saw in oil overnight. And then at 16:30, UK PM Theresa May is scheduled to meet with the EU's Jean-Claude Juncker to try and thrash out what comes next in the attempt for the UK to leave the European Union. 21:45 takes us to New Zealand and visitor arrivals data for October. And if you're still in the market at 22:30, you can see national CPI and consumer price index data out of Japan for the month of October. Okay then, breaking news and comment that's caught my eye overnight. First of all, oil prices fell sharply again yesterday, down by some 6% at one point, dragging oil-related equities and major US indices lower with them. Meanwhile, Goldman Sachs has cut its price target on Apple for a third time in November as concerns about falling iPhone demand persist. Weaker Chinese and emerging markets are behind the call. That's a pretty unusual thing for a bank to cut a share price on a leading company 3 times within a month. And I think it does show the genuine level of concern there is about some of these consumer tech names. Meanwhile, Americans are preparing for the busiest travel days of the year, with up to 30 million of them expected to be flying home on 71,000 flights over the Thanksgiving holidays, and up to 54 million Americans expected to be travelling in the next day or so alone. Of course, Thanksgiving's tomorrow, but many Americans will be preparing for their journeys today, so a busy day for tourism, perhaps not so much for the financial markets in prospect today. Okay then, food for thought, something to take away with you into the trading day and beyond. And why not think about this? Oil prices fell once again yesterday, dragging US energy stocks and the US 500 index lower as they did so. The S&P energy sector is now off by some 10.3% year to date, whilst WTI is down by around 11.4% in 2018 so far. OPEC is due to meet on the 6th of December. The question I have then is, will we see any rally in oil prices before then? The chart here plots the S&P against WTI crude, and you can see WTI crude in blue. You can see just how hard WTI has sold off over recent days, and the S&P following suit. What I would say is that WTI is very, very oversold on an RSI basis. Yes, we bounced off the lows here, but we're still only around 20 on that measure, so perhaps that's indicative of a potential rally to come. Of course, we could still extend lower to the downside. Don't forget that possibility too. Okay, please take a moment to read this risk warning. Trading CFDs and foreign exchange on margin can be a risky business. If you're in any doubt about those risks or the suitability of leverage products for you, then please do contact your Pepperstone account representative, and do take a moment please to read this risk warning thoroughly. Thank you for your time today.